Welcome on in, everybody, to our 25th episode of Theory of Anything.
Hey!
Oh my, real crowd response. What a milestone for us. I'm so glad you could make it to listen. And as usual, we have myself, Devon.
Hello.
And Paps.
Hello.
For your usual entertainment. But we also have, to help us with this episode, Beck.
Hello.
Hello.
Special guest.
A new voice.
Yes. Would you like to tell us a bit about yourself, Beck?
So I'm the other wife. So I'm Devon's wife.
Yeah.
I'm currently studying a master's in forensic and criminal psychology. So
deep,
yeah. But yeah, and since me and Devon have been together, he's turned me into a gamer girl,
wow.
as he likes
Very
to say it. So I'm getting there with all the tech stuff.
Wow, jolly good. I believe. Oh, sorry, go on.
I was going to say, it sounds from Rebecca's intro of herself that she's the intellectual in the family.
Yes.
I reckon.
I don't know.
And you've brought her down to your level by making her into a gamer, yeah. and do you participate in Devon's passion for CS Go? That's correct, isn't it?
That's it, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a good wife, and I do my wifely duties of watching his matches.
Watch him play.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Oh,
Yeah, I'm not into the whole competitiveness,
no.
and it can get a bit toxic. So.
It can.
Yeah. Does it? Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did watch one of his matches. We're talking about like you're not here, Devon. Yeah. I did watch one of his matches the other day until we got cut off. But yeah, it was quite high intensity.
Yeah.
So what sort of games do you like then?
So I originally I was just a Sims player. Sims.
Yeah, nice.
2, 3. Yeah.
Yep.
Before Devon days, but
Wow.
but
Funny
yeah.
how much in common Rebecca and Beth have got then for us. Isn't
Oh no, not really.
Oh, is that
Your
good or
wife.
bad? I don't know.
Your wife,
Different.
your wife is a Sims enthusiast, isn't she? Yeah. Anyway, sorry, carry on. Yeah.
But now Devon's got me into all sorts. Been
Bit
playing some.
Minecraft?
Was it? Yeah, been playing some Minecraft and
Yeah.
some. Was it Payday 2?
Yep.
Oh wow, yeah.
With Tim
So
as well.
So that's a first-person shooter, but it's not competitive, so it's okay. Is that right?
Yeah, well, I like to play with people that I know. It's when you play with other people that you don't know online,
Okay.
and then they can get like really horrible.
Yeah.
Because obviously I'm not the best at shooting or knowing where I'm shooting. So
That's okay.
True, even
Exactly.
if you are, people get horrible anyway.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then
Fair
Good.
playing some other things like World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
You just started the first one through Half-Life 2.
Yeah, I was told if I was going to be a gamer, I have to play this Half-Life 2.
Yeah.
And
So-
you've played
Wow.
Red Dead Redemption, haven't you, as well?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I remember talking about that one
Yeah,
of our earlier
that was-
episodes, and Devin
yeah.
quoted your experience as well as his
Yeah,
own.
that was my first real experience of, was it second hand?
Third
person. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. Third
Ah.
person games, which I wasn't too much of a fan of, but I really liked Red Dead 2, so
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
I'm on my way to being a gamer.
Well, we're all on the journey, aren't we? At some stage or another.
Very good.
Brilliant. Okay, so we've got some pickups from the last episode or so forth. Perhaps, I believe you've got something to share.
Yeah, I was thinking after our last conversation in our episode, we were talking about the gadget graveyard, and
Yeah.
the first item mentioned was PDAs, and it occurred to me while I was happily driving along the other day, and I was listening to somebody talking on I can't remember if it was a podcast or the radio, and they said, "Oh, grab your phone and take a picture," and I thought, why have we chosen to still call this device that we keep in our pockets a phone? Because actually, the phone element of what we carry around with us every day is probably one of the smallest parts of that device, they should really be. I'm looking at mine now on my desk. It should really be still a PDA, shouldn't it? A personal digital assistant. Remember, Ford, those letters?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I'm thinking, we to call those devices still phones seems like a bit of a bizarre concept, because
It's a redundancy, isn't it?
the phone
It really
call
is.
element is hardly used, is it? We don't really use phones to make phone calls, do we?
Because even like messaging isn't phone.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
I think a better term for our phones is something like a portal, because it's like a gateway into all these other realms of communication and experiences of gaming or watching moving pictures of films and TV and all this, listening to sounds on the radio and podcasts.
That's interesting you say that, because without internet, your phone's almost useless. Because I do that sometimes. I run out of data or whatever, and then I've got it. I go to my phone and I think, well, what can I do? I can't do anything. None of these apps work without without Wi-Fi or whatever.
Yeah. So my question is really, why are we still calling these gadgets phones? Because they're not really what the phone. I've said it already. The phone part of what it does is so tiny compared to everything else, isn't it? Yet we still call them a new phone, don't we? Or have you got a new phone contract, or or grab like that? What I just quoted: grab your phone and take a picture. Oh, it's also a camera or a video camera, isn't it? It just strikes me as odd. It struck me as odd for the first time, anyway, and it was in my mind because of our conversation in the last episode.
You had a revelation moment.
We need to rename our handheld devices something other than phones.
Maybe the psychologist has something to say about that.
Who's with me? Come on, let's do it.
Where's the petition?
Yeah, man the barricades. Okay. That's it. That's all I was going to say about that. Sorry. Yeah, I probably went on a bit longer than I really meant to. But
very nice.
What a weird thing to get passionate about. Yeah.
We also had something as well from last episode. I think it was a couple episodes ago. I can't remember, but we had some more positive feedback, which is always nice. Listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
Someone by the name of Luke wrote in and said, I like what you've done with the thumbnails, Ford.
I guess that's
me. Yes.
So it sounds like he's been listening on the YouTube channel. Yeah.
My artwork.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Watched one that was explaining faith. If you remember, I think that was Ford's one as well, wasn't it?
Oh my days.
Yeah.
He's loving it.
He watched that because it was a seriously hard question to answer. So obviously it's enjoyable that we actually talk about difficult things as well as like just, I don't know, other things like tech or gaming or whatever it is. So he's never really watched nonsense. He's never really watched or listened to podcasts before. But yeah, they have good banter and he really enjoyed it. So that's really nice.
Good.
Wow, he can come back.
He likes our banter. Yeah.
Cool.
Good.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Well, welcome to our listenership, Luke. It's nice to have you with us. Yeah. Tell all your friends. Yeah. Okay.
On with the show.
Welcome, special guest.
Okay, Beck, over to you.
So I mentioned before that obviously I'm doing right now a master's in forensic psychology, but for the 3 years before that, I've also obviously been studying psychology at undergrad, and then going to school and everything like that. So over the years, both in like my lower and higher education, I've had quite a great deal of exposure to scientific explanations and understandings of like human beings and like how we came to be and like our underpinnings. And there's a few times of that it's been a bit tricky. So as in they've explained something, a scientific like explanation that's kind of clashed a little bit with my faith and what I believe, kind of a thing.
Right.
Especially some of my psychology lectures to do with like biological underpinnings, when they're talking about when we were fish and kind of things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was wondering, I know you guys have spoken before about your experiences of like defending the faith and different things like that. But I was wondering what you guys thought about the relationship between science and religion. Do you think the two belong kind of in separate boxes, or that there's some similarities between the two areas? And if so, are there any situations that you can remember where you thought like, well, something to do with my faith, well, that's completely explained in like science, they like meld together really well?
Ooh, interesting. Yeah.
Well, you guys know Jordan Peterson, don't you?
Yes.
He's a psychologist,
Clinical
a professor
psychologist,
of clinical psychologist, and he's done a series on religion, essentially mostly Christian. And he goes through the stories and talks about the stories in a metaphorical sense and pulling out the philosophical underpinnings of these things, doesn't he? And he seems very keen on both religion and mostly he seems to defend religion quite sternly, and yet he's quite the scientist, isn't he? He's very clinical about that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So when you were talking about it, it just made me think of him. I don't really have much to say about him, but yeah, he's very interesting if the viewer wants to go and check him out, because he's got a lot to say.
Say his name again?
Jordan Peterson.
Oh yes,
yeah. You'll find a lot of his stuff on YouTube and stuff. Yeah. Have you listened to much of what he says about religion?
Yeah, I have. He talks about the a lot of the Old Testament stories, and it shows why they're important and how they've shaped Western civilization. So, and like the values that they portray through the stories, rather than just being like, "Oh, that's nice, the son came back to his father." It actually shows the different values that they're teaching through those stories as well, and how that can be seen in Western civilization, which is actually really interesting.
He's very keen on archetypes, isn't he? He says this is the archetype, and he talks it through the story. But so that's one interesting way you can meld science and religion in a very psychological way, in that they do have a lot to say, if not spiritually, then psychologically. I wouldn't say that's all you want to do, because obviously religion is a lot more than just that, you know?
Yeah. Well, so one of the biggest similarities that I've experienced in my scientific upbringing, if you can argue that psychology is a science, it's
wow,
quite
it's a debate, isn't
quite
it?
the debate, quite controversial, but we'll go with it. It's a science right now. But yeah, to do with language. So in terms of religion, so Christianity, let's say, you taught a lot that there's a lot of power of the tongue. So like the power of words. Like that it has the power of life or death. And I found it really, really interesting in psychology that actually it's taught that the use of language can have a significant impact on the brain and our behaviour. So that's really, really interesting for me. So I'll quote this guy. There's two guys that did some research called Newberg and Waldman. So they said positive words such as peace and love can alter the expressions of genes, strengthening areas in our frontal lobes and promoting the brain's cognitive functioning. They propel the motivational centers of the brain into action and build resilience. And then, however, on the opposite side, a single negative word can increase the activity in our amygdala. This releases dozens of stress-producing hormones and neurotransmitters, which in turn interrupts our brain's functioning. So it's really interesting that obviously we know that, and we've experienced that saying negative things to yourself can make you, negative, have a negative mind, and vice versa. When you tell yourself, no, okay, I am happy with how I look, even if it's something as simple as oh, my hair looks nice today, then over time you get a lot more confident. I think it's really interesting that obviously science backs that up.
So it's a biblical principle that then appears
that they've discovered to be right.
But there's an actual biological underpinning and proof, if you want to say that.
It's crazy that it says even just a single word, a single positive or negative word can have that effect. When we're just talking, if we catch ourselves saying, "Oh, I'm so stupid," or anything like that, it's always like, well, what you did may have been stupid, but you're not stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just trying to change that perspective, isn't it?
Yeah.
Change
talked about that last episode, didn't I? I think about me referring to myself as an idiot because I dropped something. Yeah, and then you have to sort of realise, actually, no, that's not true, and I shouldn't be confessing those things. It's interesting that science and philosophy have also accepting that has an impact on people.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's a lot easier to destroy than it is to build, isn't it? That's true in most things. You can't.
Oh yeah.
You can accidentally destroy something. Rarely do you accidentally build something. So it makes sense that maybe only a few, like what you just said, one word, can knock you right back. Yeah. It's hard to build someone up. Yeah.
Well, it's like in developmental psychology. There's so many cases where like a child is obviously it's very important in childhood, like the language and what your experience and things like that. So there's lots of cases where children have heard like one time the parents have said like, "Oh, you're so stupid," just out of anger or something like that, and then no matter how many hundreds of times that parent has said to them, "Oh, I love you, you're so smart," but you're so stupid, sticks with them to even adulthood, kind of a thing.
Yeah, very powerful.
Yeah.
It stays with people, definitely.
It feels like in today's world, like people don't really pay attention to what they're saying. Like you hear so many like parents just swearing next to their kids or just using really nasty language right next to their kids, and they don't actually they're not aware of the impact that's having on their children. And I think so you can definitely you see that with new generations coming up. It's like there's not sensitivity to positivity. It's just there's a layer of negativity underneath, I think. But
it's so hard if you're out and about in everyday world and everyday life, and you hear and see things, and you see children being spoken down to so badly by parents in the streets or in the supermarket, and you think the impact that's having on that child lasts generations, lasts their lifetime if it's not undone. Like you say, it's not easily undone, is it? That's something you need actual healing from. And with our experience with taking people through the Freedom in Christ course, we found that many people's hurts they struggle with in adulthood, the foundation or the beginnings of it are right the way back in their infant childhood, because of the way a parent or another adult spoke to them, that backs up what you just said.
It reminds me of the verse I just looked up, 1 Thessalonians 5:10 and 11. It says, "He died for us so that whether we awake or asleep, we may live together with him. Therefore, encourage one another and build each other up, just as in fact you are doing." So it is just it's quite obvious, isn't it? It's even back then. It can be it's seen in the biblical principles just to build each other up, and rather than just knocking each other down.
That's true. Yeah. There's something that you said as well, Rebecca, that I wanted to just pick up on. I've forgotten which bit it was now, but it reminded me, and I knew I'd got it in my OneNote notebook, and I found it. And if I just read it to you, but it connects with something you said in your first bit. And I can't remember where I got this from, what the source of it is, but I'll read it to you anyway. A secular survey found that happy people demonstrate the following qualities. There's only 5 of them for me to read to you very quickly. They express gratitude. They're optimistic in nature. They demonstrate acts of kindness. They savour joyful events. And they practice forgiveness. And this was a secular survey that found that, and I've written underneath those, remind you of any particular people group. I mean,
nice
that's
people, you mean?
Great, but it's a great explanation of the picture. Not saying the church always gets it right.
No,
it's a picture of the church, as we should be. I'm not saying everybody in the church is like that, or all of us get it right all the time, but those 5 things: gratitude, optimism, kindness, joyful and forgiveness are fundamental, I think, to the human. What makes us happy, the human being experience makes us happy. So it's interesting. I can't remember why.
How many of those fruits of the spirit?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, I was thinking about why I read that to you. It's something you said about how secular psychology is recognizing elements of Christian, if you like, ways of being.
Biblical teachings.
Yeah, I had a couple. The first one's not very psychological, but
no, it's okay.
the biblical laws and the hygiene laws specifically.
I was actually thinking about that.
Yeah. Like there are so many laws about that God told the Israelites, look, wash your hands. Look, don't go near dead things.
Yeah.
It's
wear a mask. Was there wear a mask?
Yeah.
Stay 2 meters apart. Is that in the Old Testament?
I think I read that somewhere.
Right.
Yeah. No. Anyway.
Okay, sorry.
But yeah, I mean, they didn't have any conception of germs or anything, did they? It's just like
they had no data to back it up or anything like that. What they were teaching, what they were saying to do.
You couldn't see it; it didn't exist. Microbiology was not a thing, was it?
That was just one thing. I don't know if anyone's got anything to say about that, but I did have another thing.
Well, it's what I love about the whole studying science, even going back to when I was in secondary school and studying science, and throughout that there's been obviously a lot of like non-Christians and atheists, and like quite a few times they've turned to me and said like, don't you find this like really hard? Doesn't this like challenge your like faith and everything? And throughout it all, and actually the further up I've gone in education, the more actually the two have melded together.
Yeah. Really, that's good to hear.
And like so often people think like if they obviously don't know the Bible, they think like, okay, it's just a load of rules just to spoil all your fun. But like Ford said, it's actually it's to keep you healthy. Like the rules that were back then, and different things like biblical teachings of that you should speak like positive words. Actually, it is scientific backing up. It's not just okay, I have to be boring, I can't like have a laugh or anything. It's actually he's looking out for you. The biblical teachings are actually trying to help you and keep you healthy. I just love that. Yeah,
things like family values as well. So having like a father and a mother, and having that love, that unconditional love, that they will come back and accept that child.
That's the thing I was going to say. I was thinking monogamy instead of polygamy. The idea of being married to one person or being married to several people. I don't know if it's a biblical principle per se, but it's definitely a Christian principle.
It's a New Testament, isn't it? Because in the Old Testament they'd have multiple wives, wouldn't they? But since Christ, it's obviously been seen upon as being.
I think there's examples of both. And it does work out that monogamy is so much better psychologically for people. And I know even people nowadays, even though it's illegal, I know people do polygamous relationships, and it can be so damaging. I think. Well, yeah, from what I've seen, I don't know nothing about it. Don't at me. But yeah, it's just interesting that, like you were just saying, that love and security you can get from just two people.
Try keeping two women happy.
Yeah, my days. It's too much. Or two men. Hang on, we're modern.
Sexist.
Yeah. The thing is, the biggest rub up with religion and faith is generally evolution. But there are religious people who believe in evolution. So it doesn't have to be a stumbling block. I don't know how I feel about that, but it exists, you know?
Yeah.
That's why there's a name for creationists, because not all Christians are creationists, which is a bit strange.
Yes, there you go. But yeah, their view of it is that God uses this system of evolution to create. You know, it's him behind evolution. But yeah, it's interesting. But all I'm saying is, you know, science and religion, I don't think do have to clash at all.
No.
I think you got to be careful so that you're not taking away from the power and glory of God. So
Yeah.
if you're now relying on evolution, because God can't possibly do X, Y, and Z, then you're minimizing God and putting that focus somewhere else. So I think that's where you've got to have the be careful about. I think, but other than that, I think as long as your intentions are still trying to find the truth and your intention, like you're trying to have your focus on God, then I don't see the issue with you personally believing that, I don't know, God used evolution or whatever.
So you wouldn't say it's a deal breaker, as it were?
I don't think so. I mean,
tell me more.
Well, Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. I mean, there's no other way, is there? It's not
fundamental.
Yeah, it's not believing that God created the world in 6 days or whatever. It's just Jesus. So I assume that if you do believe in Jesus and the principles that Jesus stood for, like the direct ones, then yeah, you give your life to Him. Then yeah,
it's a mighty hot potato. It's
Yes.
yeah, and I don't think we'll solve it. Is it? Yeah. I've certain views on that, but I won't share them right now because of time. But yeah, interesting.
If I may just jump back to your joke about the quarantine laws. Yes, there are biblical quarantine laws.
Yes, that's a good point. Yeah. So if you come back from Spain, you've got to stay at home alone for 2 weeks. Is that
it says it right there.
Yeah.
Maybe not that specific, but yes, they do have quarantine laws. Anyway.
Come on, this is Rebecca's section, so we need to give her more time. Is there anything else Rebecca wants to bring to us with these thoughts? Or
no, that was all really. I was just interested if there was any examples of things that you found, but obviously you've already kind of said things that you found interesting, the link between science and religion.
Yeah.
We kind of touched on it already, but it's on the having sex before marriage and just being with that one person, or wanting to be with one person for the rest of your life, being very determined, is that the right word, with your relationships. And it's been found that shows that increases your happiness, or you're more likely to be happy if you have that, and it increases you're less likely to be in poverty if you wait till you're married to have a child.
Yeah.
Wow, and that's backed up by science, is it?
Yeah, no, I mean that's just the data is found in just in population. Yeah, and that's really
marriage is a subject we've spoken about in previous episodes as well, isn't it? And how the constitution of marriage is cements things much more solidly. I think there's a greater commitment between married couples. And psychologically, I can understand that. The science, I'm sure, would back that. Well, if there's nothing tying you into a relationship, then when you have a big row, you just leave, don't you?
Yeah.
But
it's also the case as well with individuals who cohabitate. They've been cohabitating for maybe 20 years, being together forever. Then they get married, and then a year later they get a divorce and split up. And people think well, you've been living with each other, you've been obviously sleeping with each other, nothing's changed apart from you signed a piece of paper. But it's just that thing of
I wonder why that would be.
There's nothing to look forward to. You come back off your honeymoon, you have a great day,
and it's all the same.
And you come back, and a lot of them said well, nothing's changed.
It's not like I've just started my married life.
Yeah.
Or anything like that. It's it feels like we're already at this the same thing.
Stage, yeah. So it's a down slope.
While marriage was still somewhere off in the distance as a possibility, there was still always that to reach and work towards. But then once they got it and they realised it was nothing different. So we're not saying marriage isn't the thing to do. We're saying that it's meant to be done at the right time. In the right place at the right time. Interesting. Wow. Very good. So what would you hope to be able to do with this when you finished your education system? What's I'm trying to think of diploma.
Your masters.
Yeah, once
masters,
I've finished my masters,
Yeah.
for the moment, I just want to finish my masters.
Yeah.
Dissertations.
Yeah. I don't want to see another assignment for a while.
Yeah.
Don't know.
Wow.
But yeah, but I've always had like a passion for people. It's why I went into psychology, and I've always been a bit of a not for was it all like the forensic programs and all the kind of criminal things and different things like that. I have like a real heart for young individuals as well, so like young offenders. So my parents are foster carers, and so I've seen quite a lot of children that have been there who's obviously they've been removed from their parents and they come to live with us, and they had like quite tricky backgrounds, and their siblings have gone on to like commit crimes and have like several like criminal offences and charges, and actually you see the difference that makes. And I've always said like it's brilliant, and I love what my parents do whenever anyone's ever asked whether I'd foster, but I don't think I have. I don't think I can foster.
A special kind of person.
Yeah.
But it's incredible the impact that a loving home has.
Exactly, yeah. And so I've loved that. So I'd really love to be on the other side of that. So working with young offenders to just give them a chance, because it doesn't mean that they have to be out of the home, because obviously you get a lot of 16-year-olds who they're kind of independent, they're not really children that need to be removed from the home, but they're going through down a slippery slope. And I think it's if by the age of 14 you've got a criminal record, you're, I can't remember if it's like 2 times or 4 times more likely to just continue and just live a life of crime.
It's hard,
So I'd love to work with YOS, which is Young Offending Service.
To break the cycle.
Getting there early.
Yeah, getting there early and help. But I think I need a holiday before I do that.
Very good. Well, that's exciting,
And now it's time for Watcha Watchin.
So we're all human, aren't we? We like to chill, and we like to watch we like to watch films and whatnot. So for this episode, we've decided to have a nice big segment of Watcha Watchin, where we talk about the things we've been watching recently and just chatting about that. So Paps, Devon, me, Beck, what have you been watching?
Well, I said in previous episode about me getting Disney Plus, which has been great. I've been enjoying some of that stuff, watching the Mandalorian, watching some of the Star Wars films. Oh, I know what I could ask for. I watched Rogue One. The film, which
it's a Star Wars film,
which takes place immediately before A New Hope, the first original Star Wars film. It literally follows from one to the other, doesn't it? With the handing over of the blueprints of the Death Star.
R2-D2.
Yeah, to R2-D2. There's a scene where the ship, it's above one planet where the big battle was.
Yeah, it's a big final battle. Yeah, they finally get the plans, and they're passing it off. There's a big fight going on. They're passing it through onto the ship that Leia's on.
Has to go through. Somebody passes it through a half-closed door, don't they? And
then the Leia ship drops right out and warps away or whatever, and it leaves Darth Vader standing there thinking, "What's going on?"
Yeah, that and now, yes. So now my problem was the next scene you see is the same ship, this drop ship that left the larger ship because of Vader's attacked it. He's gets boarded again, doesn't it? And then the droids leave in an escape pod and land on Tatooine. Now they've obviously moved to a completely different system by now, haven't they? Or a different planet. Time has passed. Yeah. So why is there still only one copy of these plans? Why haven't they made an extra copy? Why haven't they transmitted it back to the Rebel base? Why is there still only one copy in the droids in R2D2's data bank memory? When time must have passed, so it just seems odd to me that you would think you'd make a spare copy of it. It's something that's so important. If it had happened immediately, which it doesn't because they've moved to a different planet, it couldn't have happened immediately, could it?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Warping's quite quick.
Yeah. I reckon maybe warping is super quick. They chased them into hyperspace and they came out almost immediately, way too early. I don't think they meant to be over Tatooine.
Right.
I think it was because they got shot out or whatever.
You can't get shot out of hyperspace.
Get out of here.
Do
what you like in Star Wars.
You can in Elite Dangerous, yeah. Anyway,
Okay.
so it wasn't my main thing I was going to talk about in this segment, but anyway, it was just a thing I thought I'd love to hear what a Star Wars geek, and please, if there's anybody out there who knows the answer, what's the time distance between the end of Rogue One and the beginning of A New Hope? Because to me, there's an opportunity there to make as many copies as you want, and deal with it, you know. To put all your hopes in that one little droid was a bit of a risk. Yeah.
It wouldn't be a problem if they didn't go to hyperspace at the end of that film, and yeah that's it really. And then you can assume that
another planet in that same system.
Yeah, Tatooine's in the same system.
Chase them across the system. I don't know what the name of the
it's
planet.
Law that it's not in the same system.
Is it?
But they could have made it that it was.
They could, but that's a bit douchey from Disney. I mean, they keep rewriting a lot of the lore, yeah, but like, the least amount they do that, the better.
Of course, we also have to remember that none of this is real. You know?
What?
But anyway, it was a one of those, what do they call it, a nitpick, really. You know.
So you've been watching Rogue One then?
Yes.
So I watched a bit of Rogue One. Yeah, I did like Rogue One. Rogue One. I don't think they wimped out on it. All the main people died. If you haven't seen it, sorry
Spoilers.
to spoil it. Which I thought was quite nice to see in modern filmmaking. You know, there was no wimping out on it.
Just because they were forced to, because there's no opening for a sequel.
Because they never appear again. That's right. Yeah. So I suppose so. Yeah. The writers had. But, yeah. But they did a good job of creating those characters, and then to lose them again. I suppose there could be a prequel to their story, couldn't there? But anyway.
Ugh.
Oh no, we know what the girl's history is because we see her as a little girl, don't we? Anyway, that's that. The other thing I want to say in my Watcha Watchin, I didn't mean to talk that long about that, was I've been watching The Man in the High Castle. Has anybody seen that?
I've seen like one or two episodes.
Heard of it. It's a brilliant series, and I've really come to enjoy it a lot more than I watched season 1 and 2 probably 12 months ago, and now on Prime you can watch seasons 3 and 4, and I'm enjoying getting back into that. Recommend that.
Sorry, what's that about?
The Man in the High Castle
Nazis.
is about
Nazis.
Yeah, it's about the Germans and the Japanese.
Won the war, didn't they?
They control the whole of America, North America.
Oh.
So there's 2/3 of America, up to the Rockies, from the east coast across to the Rockies is controlled by the Germans, and west of the Rockies is controlled by the Japanese. And then you've got a neutral zone down the middle of the country, around about where the Rockies are. And
So not quite historically accurate then.
No. So it's like a reimagined history, you know, and of course you've got the resistance fighters and everything, and the Germans and the Japanese don't really get on very well, even though they won the war together. And I mean, I won't spoil it by saying, but there's a lot more involved than that. Yeah, there's some
cool.
Well, there's some, let's just say, multi-universal, multiverse types instances, a bit like that series called Devs that I mentioned to you before.
Oh yes.
Yeah, it's an older take on that whole idea of multi-universes and things. Who's next?
It's us. We've been watching the same thing, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you will have been, I suppose. Yeah.
I talked a little bit about Vikings before, didn't I?
Yeah, I think
briefly.
Briefly, yeah.
Mm.
I think we're almost at the end of Vikings. We've got like one more season to go.
Yeah.
We're not going through it as fast as we were before, because one of our beloved characters have died.
Yes, we're a bit mad and sad.
Well, So it's a bit of a Game of Thrones type situation, is it? That
Yeah,
a bit of backstory. What's Vikings about?
Vikings about Vikings. So you follow the story of Ragnar Lothbrok, and he's like this amazing Viking, and he's basically just a farmer with a wife and some kids, and it's basically just his progression as it goes. They're all obviously pagans, heathens.
Oh no.
So there's a lot of like rituals and sacrifices and things like that to Odin or whatever it is.
Yeah, but they don't know their Norse mythology very well, do they?
Oh, and there's a monk, isn't there? A former monk lives with them.
Athelstad.
Yeah.
Or
Yes.
as Beck likes to call him, Appleman.
Yeah, because there's a horrible slaughter at his monastery, wasn't there?
Yes,
I remember that.
yeah.
I have seen some of it. Yeah, I don't know if I saw much more than that. About 3 or 4 episodes, I think I've seen.
Yeah, so they basically take Athelstad back to Norway, which I think they're based.
Yeah,
but I think we've deducted that. Because they don't actually say, "Oh, we live in Norway," but that's what it seems.
Yeah.
So it's quite a gruesome, graphic type situation,
Yeah,
isn't it?
definitely.
It is quite.
Yeah, there's everything that you can imagine bad going on. It goes on.
Yeah.
It's worse than Game of Thrones, but it's enjoyable. I mean,
Well, I don't know. I've said that it's better than Game of Thrones in terms of. So in Game of Thrones at the start, there's a lot of unnecessary like nudity. Like just everybody's always having sex and they're nude and it's like there's no need or anything like that.
Yeah.
Whereas
but
with
they
Vikings,
don't have Netflix, so do they? So
there's no chill.
yeah, what can they do?
Yeah. Whereas with the Vikings, there's hardly any.
Yeah, like if it's in Vikings, like there's a sex scene, it's usually because something's about to happen.
But like it's important or something like that.
Yeah, which I guess is a difference.
Yeah.
But,
which I've enjoyed that. But
it's not as gratuitous is the word I think you might be able to describe it. Gratuitous sex scenes, and they probably still got gratuitous violence, hasn't it? But
but there's a lot in Vikings. There's a lot of kids, you're gonna have to watch this sacrifice to prove to your father that you're gonna be a good man or whatever. And they kind of did that like once in Game of Thrones in season 1, where Ned Stark beheaded one of his traitors from the wall.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
But there's nothing else like that again that actually has meaning of why they're showing something gruesome happening.
Yeah.
It's just everything's gruesome now.
Yeah.
But everything's kind of got meaning in Vikings, which I really like.
Yeah.
Good.
I've also really been enjoying because I'm half Icelandic, and so it's really interesting because there's a lot of like Icelandic words and things in it.
Yeah.
Because obviously, so Icelandic, the language hasn't really changed much since the settlers first settled down there. So you've got Icelandics. The majority of people from Iceland can still read like the ancient texts from there, which is quite cool. Interesting fact.
That's incredible.
But I found that quite interesting. I don't know it fluently or anything like that, but I don't know what language they're speaking. But it seems like they've done a good job in terms of like language. In like portraying.
They've done their research.
Your ancestors.
My ancestors.
Where can you watch Vikings?
On Prime.
Prime, yeah.
Yeah, Prime,
yeah. Very good.
Yeah. Although be careful because it starts at season 6, so we accidentally watched the first episode of season 6, and we're very, very confused as to what's happening.
Yeah.
And then came back to watch the next episode, and Devon realised,
started at season 6.
Yeah. So Devon's been really good at trying to forget, but
you try and keep
the whole
reminding
way through, I've been like, so that person's there. Okay, that must mean
so this
that
person can't die.
there.
It's like
Yeah. Oh dear.
No.
I will say that the first season is probably the best.
Yeah.
It does kind of go down a little bit, but not by much. It's still really good by where we're at anyway.
Yeah.
But the first season I'll probably go rewatch again after I finished it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched about 3 or 4 episodes of that whilst I was on holiday in Menorca while my wife was in hospital, and she'd been whisked across from one hospital to another hospital, and I was stuck at the first hospital in her hospital bedroom, and watching it on my iPad. Yeah, so that's my memories of Vikings were exactly that. So
Wowza.
yeah.
Wow.
I think once I got home, I didn't watch anymore. Anyway, carry on forward. Yeah, what have you been watching?
Got bad memories. No good.
Yeah.
No, I've been catching up a bit on the Witcher TV show.
Oh, this is what Devon recommended.
Yes, he did. Yes.
Yeah.
Again, it's a little gruesome. I wouldn't say it's a bit more tame than any of what you guys have been talking about. I think it's a 15. I think. Yeah. Anyway, so that's been quite interesting. I'm up to I've watched episode 5 now. It's a bit difficult to follow because often they reference people and places that you haven't actually been introduced to yet and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not often, but it happens. You know.
Yeah.
And some episodes you even travel in time and you only really figure it out by the end or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's the point though.
Oh, you're supposed to
it
be
didn't make that
clueless
obvious.
throughout the entire thing.
And for me watching it, I was so confused, because I know the story because I played the game.
Yeah.
But it's like, what on earth is going on? Because they don't make it obvious that you're going back and forwards in time.
Exactly.
So
I'm
that was really cool.
yeah, you're following this one woman, and from one episode to the next, 20 years has passed. It's like, what?
Yeah.
What? Anyway, it's a thing. Any defense, Devon? Can you defend such a show?
Well, yeah, that's a good thing.
You reckon?
Yeah, I mean, when you finally find out that they've been traveling in time, well, not them, but you have been as an observer, then it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense now. Or that makes sense now. I think they did it really well. I thought, but
that was exactly my experience. I was like, oh,
yeah.
So yeah,
exactly. I mean, that's what they said before. There's a lot of confusion beforehand because in the dialogue they're talking about different kingdoms that don't exist anymore and things like that. Yeah. And it's just like, what? But yeah.
It's hard work, but it's really good quality, and I like what's his face, Superman, Henry Cavill. That's him. Yeah, the actor who plays The Witcher. Yeah, so it's really good stuff. It's brain work, I tell you.
Is it? Well, I like things that make you think. Yeah.
If you don't mind being confused, it'll be up your street, I'm sure.
It's a bit fantastical though.
Yes.
More so than Game of Thrones or Vikings.
There's a lot of magic, yeah.
So we've had sex, violence, magic. Has anybody watched anything that's a bit more uplifting and wholesome?
The Big Bang Theory. I've been watching a bit of that. I don't know if that counts. It's more of a comedy.
Yeah. Oh dear.
What do you guys think of Big Bang Theory? Have you seen that?
I think it was funny, and then it just got bad.
Oh.
Really? Okay. I didn't take to it, even though people said, "Oh, I thought you'd be the ideal candidate for enjoying that," and I never have watched it. So I watched 1 or 2 episodes and never really clicked with me.
They go hard on making fun of geeks and nerds.
Yeah.
And if you're not into a bit of self-deprecating humor, or you're not a geek or a nerd, you're probably not going to like it.
They love their Star Trek or Star Wars, don't they?
They do.
It seemed like at the beginning they were actually geeky and nerdy, but then they just got like mainstream nerdy.
So they're more pandering to the masses.
Yeah, like Star Trek. It's like, well, everyone knows about Star Trek, but in the beginning there was like they're making fun of things that only those people understand or actually even know what it is. I don't watch it much.
It's the sort of thing that me and my wife sit down for dinner and just slap some of that on because it's nonsense TV. We know how it's going and it's just a bit of fun.
Yeah.
Because we've seen it so many times. That's what. Yeah.
You have to pay attention to it.
I don't know if I'd recommend it because it's very anti-Christian and stuff. I don't know.
Is it? Oh, right.
Well, I don't know about very, but yeah, there's obviously some of that in there because they're all scientists, so you know.
Yeah.
It's complicated. I have a complicated relationship. Well, what can I say?
Anything else uplifting or?
Something I wanted to say about Vikings that just popped into my head about Vikings. It's funny how you're rooting against the English Christians.
Yeah.
Really?
The Vikings, the invaders to win.
Yeah, exactly. You want these pagan heathen foreigners to win against like these English Christians. It's really
Historically speaking, Vikings were brutal against monks and anyone. They didn't care, did they?
No.
Yeah. Do they show that a lot, or is it?
Yeah.
Do they show them a bit more human-like?
No.
Oh.
As Dad said like a minute ago, when they got Appleman, they just like thought there was a monastery that they first came across.
It was
and
a
they
brutal
just destroyed everybody.
sequence.
Yeah.
It was just a brutal sequence. That was a bit shocking. Yeah.
And the only reason
Yeah.
he saved like him was because he was a bit intrigued.
Yeah.
It wasn't because he was like, oh, okay, actually, I can't kill him.
Yeah. They wanted to like have more information about the Saxon world and everything.
Okay.
Ooh. Nice.
Anything else anybody wanted to share?
Didn't you say you were watching Heroes a little while ago?
Well, oh yes.
How did that take?
We watched the first 6 episodes. I really enjoyed it because we talked about it on the podcast, and I mean, obviously I'd seen it before, but my wife hadn't seen it before. So Christine was, I'll see what it's like, and she'd actually really enjoyed it. Got 6 episodes into season 1, and then suddenly it stopped being available free on Prime. You have to pay for it now.
Oh wow!
Like, what? How did that happen? You know, you get halfway through a season, and then they take it off of free viewership. You know,
Those cheeky guys.
Naughty, very naughty of Mr. Prime. Yeah, Mr. Bezos.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, the other quick thing I was going to mention, 2 things. If you want a bit of fun and laughter, Upload is very good. About uploading your consciousness to a computer simulation once you die. That was quite a funny series. I think I may have mentioned it already.
Yeah, I think so.
And also, I'd really recommend, I'd love us to all try and watch a bit of this. Tales from the Loop. Have you heard of that?
No.
Tales from the Loop. It's a bit sci-fi. It's a bit weird. It's not science fiction, space type stuff. It's earthbound, but it's quite interesting. It's inspired by the wondrous paintings of Simon Stallenhag. Tales from the Loop explores mind-bending adventures of people. That's the end of it. A bit I can looking at it on the screen. But Tales from the Loop is well worth a watch. I've watched about 3 of those, and yeah, they're all individual stories, but they kind of connect. You know.
Where did you say that was available?
Prime on Amazon Prime again.
Cool.
It may be available elsewhere as well, but yeah. That's probably our allocated time has gone, I would imagine.
Nice.
Yeah. But thank you for sharing your experiences.
It's homework time and toodaloo.
Coming up next week, it's a film. We're watching Contact. So we're all going to go away and watch the film Contact and come back and share our thoughts.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that again.
Indeed. It seems like Devon and Paps already love it. So
yeah. Got to convince you now, haven't we?
Yeah.
But when we come back, we'll discuss why we love it so much. Yeah. Yeah. If it also explores some of the stuff we've talked about whilst Rebecca was talking to us about science and religion. So that's all good, bringing the 2 of those sort of mindsets together.
Very timely.
Whether they do indeed come together or not. So that will connect nicely with our discussion today. Yeah.
It's almost like I planned it.
Sorry?
Yeah.
I said it's almost as if I planned it.
Yeah, who knew, hey? Yeah.
So, listener, if you want to watch that film with us or before the next episode, and then we can, you can comment on it, and we'll mention your comment in the review. So that'll be interesting.
Indeed, we will.
Where can they let us know, Ford?
Oh, okay. So,
about to get to that.
No, that's cool. Email, Twitter, Facebook, all in the description below. Let us know your opinions, because we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to get that, and if you're willing for us to comment and share your opinion, then, and if it's appropriate, I suppose, then we'll be happy to mention it in our next episode. Thank you so much, listener, and a big thank you to Beck for coming on and helping us with psychology and complicated nonsense.
Intellectual conversations. Yeah.
I give you a 10 out of 10 for guest psychology rants.
Oh, wow, thank you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Best we've ever had, yeah.
Yeah.
Not that our other guests weren't good as well, but
no, indeed.
In terms of psychology rants,
Yeah.
Is rants the right thing?
I don't know. I was doing it on the fly. That's all I had.
She didn't really rant, did she?
Well.
Oh dear.
Beck, do you have anything final you want to say?
You guys doing a good job, and honoured that I can be listening and
Oh wow.
that I
that's
can
nice.
be on here.
Ah,
Thank you
That's
very
nice.
much.
Yeah.
Nice.
Just getting my wife points off, don't worry.
yeah.
Smart. Yeah.
Very good.
Well,
Well,
do you want to do your catchphrase?
okay. Thank you very much, everyone, and we look forward to seeing you all around the microphone again next time.
Bye.
Bye.